look. Some are vertical, some are horizontal. In this case, we're going to do Leah's logo right here first. And I have a layer right here, so I'm just going to double click on it and temporarily lock it and dim it down. And click OK. And just go ahead and get a new layer. Double click the name and just put her name right there. And the idea now is with all the tools that you have, you want to see how to best illustrate this selection. Again, using some of the keystrokes that you have to zoom in, or just take the tool. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Under View, I'm going to click on the rulers to show. So up at the top, it's listed in there. If I right-click on it, it tells me it's the default is points. Doesn't matter right now. I'm just going to put it to inches. But taking a look at the logo, I'm going to drag and put a ruler guide down here, and you can see that my ruler guide is a little off. If I wanted to line this up even better, maybe my scan, when I scanned it in, I may not have made it a perfect angle. So I'm going to take the rotation tool, and I can click right on there. That's going to be the center of rotation. And slowly, what you have to do now is zoom out a little bit. And you can see the tab key here for a minute. So now I have this selection. You have to remember, the only trouble with this is that if you lock it too soon before you adjust it. So here's the rotation tool. I'm going to click at the intersection down here and adjust this, make sure I'm on that layer. And it'll allow me, should allow me to adjust this right here. And rotate that just a little bit. So that's the allowing me to rotate this image just in order to get it placed down there right on the edge. So then I'm going to lock it, zoom in, and even if it's not perfectly labeled in there, I can always adjust it later. Now the tricky part is the width is the same all the way around, so you could do it a couple different ways. You could try to use the pen tool, you could use the shape tool. I'll try to do both just to see what works the best for this. If I have the pen tool and I start from this side to here, use a shift key to keep it straight. I'm going to reset the fill and the stroke and just take the fill off for now and go straight up. I'm assuming it's a straight line. This can also be there. And here's the stroke panel. So I'm just increasing this, either the arrow key or the arrow keys on the keyboard. And that makes that shape right there. Okay, so it's 21 points. So let's see what happens. I can take the pen tool again and try to create this again, going from this direction up to here. Okay, so you can see it's a little bit off on that side, but the thickness is the same. So I can take the direct selection tool, click on this point, maybe bump it up a little bit. So now I have this shape. Move it over a little bit. I think they're sneaking in. So I'm just going to select them both and just set it off to the side just to see what it looks like in relation to her original sketch. So you can see it has a little bit of a straight line going across. So I'm going to use this almost as a shape. Okay, and this part is cut down at the bottom and cut down at the bottom here. So when you take a look in the stroke panel, here's this end piece. I may experiment here, see what happens when you clip this. They all change. They all turn across. So you're trying to anticipate and see what would be the best alternative for it. So knowing that we've just dealt with the geometric shapes, I could change all of this into a shape. And we did it a couple times, but let me just show you. So here's the initial part, and sometimes with Illustrator you may want to copy the items as you go and just set them off to the side in case you go a little too far and you can't go back to that stage. So here's the stroke. So I'm going to go to Object Path, it's a path, and outline it. So now this becomes a shape. Okay, so when you take a look, you can curve around the corners, that type of thing. And then I take a look at this one, this stroke, and do the same thing. Just go to Object Path and outline the stroke. So now these are two sections that are two shapes. So if I fill them just to show you the differences, okay? So I want them to be together in one shape, so I'm just going to select both of them. And if you remember in the section of the Pathfinders, if it's not open, I'm just going to try. There's a couple of ways to do this. So I'm just going to combine them into one shape. So I have it pretty well almost finished. These are equal at the top. Okay. So I'm going to take this rectangle tool and just clip off the top. Give it a color so you can see the difference of it. This shape is on top of it. Here's the green, so I'll select the both of them so they're both selected. Just undo that. Instead of joining them, if I join them, they'd be one shape. Undo that. The next item is going to clip it off the top, so it's an easy way to clip off and get pretty accurate on the top of it. Okay, so that's one alternative. And then on the bottom, you can see that the image here, kind of sketch this out a little bit, is clipped off at the bottom. So I'm going to take the ruler guide. Now you notice I can't move the guide. If I go to section in here, guide, unlock the guides. So now this is able to move. And I can put it right on the bottom of this shape right here. That way when I draw this next piece, I'll give it an orange color. I can just drag this section here and it'll click, it'll snap to, is what they call snapping to, and it's right on the edge of that. So now when I select both of these just by making a selection, it'll do the same thing and let me clip off the bottom of this. Let's see if I goofed up on this part right here. And I'll show you two tools that you can use on this, but that clips off the section. So that was using the stroke to build that up, and the nice thing is that it made it even. It's the even thickness all the way through. If I chose to use the pen tool, I'm hoping that her shape drawing is pretty nice, to see if I would make it the exact same thickness, but I don't think I would be able to do that. But one option is just to outline it like so, and you would say that looking at the designer's motives and see where is that trying to be that shape. So you could actually take the pen tool, move that guy out of the way for a second. The smart guides are helping me illustrate this a little bit, keeping it in line, and that gives me that shape. So I have two ways to do it. You as the designer, it's almost like you're getting the artwork from the creative director saying, okay, I need this illustration finished and placed in there as best I can. I tend to like this a little more technical, trying to get the stroke and even the thickness to it, clipping it off, making it into a path, so it's trying to have you knowing all the options that you have with the software and see what you can actually put together. From this point on, it's a matter of taking this design and just option, and now it's a matter of saying, okay, do you want it to have a gradient? Okay, so then all the stuff that you just picked up on, since she has a nice design, black and white, those are the things that you now have to take as an alternative. You know, does it look better when this is rounded off? I mean, that's something that you can't do that quickly as a drawing, but on the computer it gives you some functionality to do that. And once you get this finished, take the one that looks the best that you have. I'm going to go with, just delete that with this one. And go ahead and save this document as your grouping of logos that we'll do.